Hello, hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two whiskeys. We have George Dickel number 12. '90 proof sour mash Tennessee whiskey, aged 7 to 9 years, introduced in 1964, versus Woodford Reserve Distillers Select Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, no age statement, 90.4 proof, so slightly stronger alcohol. Produced in Kentucky by Brown-Forman. So introduced 1996, introduced 1964. Price $23 for Dickel 12. What's the Woodford Reserve sell for? I can't remember. It's not too expensive. Let's see. Find the lowest price, because I know who's got the lowest price around here. And we're usually pretty representative of the country with beer, I guess, but with okay. Woodford Reserve. Why are they showing 2 stars bourbon? I know 2 stars is Sazerac brand made for, I guess it's made a house brand for Total Wine and More. You can tell it's got that Sazerac bottle. Barton. Very old Barton bottle. Woodford Reserve. What size is that? Oh yeah, okay, so $26.99. $4 more, okay. So I think that's about right. About $4 more per bottle. Is Woodford Reserve going to be $4 better? I doubt it. So it's probably going to be a even quality, like this one tastes like this one tastes like that, but they're both kind of like on the same quality level. And so just shop price. That's my hypothesis. If I blind taste challenge 2 comparably priced North American bourbon whiskeys, then namely George Dickel 12 and Woodford Reserve, then the quality level will be determined to be practically equal, and the choice will be based on price alone. Now, that's the hypothesis. Now we start the observations and the conclusions, right? Here's the Dickel glass. I watched so many reviews for this. Most of them were good. Some of them were juvenile. And it's amazing to see grown men who are in their 40s I don't mean joking around and I was juvenile. I'm not against that. I'm just talking about the mentality. It's, you're not 14. But anyway, luckily, those videos weren't there weren't too many of them, but there were enough. Irritating one. Now, Sonia gave me this bottle. Thank you, Sonia. She gave me a nearly full bottle. Don't know why she didn't want it. Oh, that's right. She gave up drinking alcohol. Good reason. But she had the Blantons, nearly full, and this. And I said, oh, look what you have. And she said, I'm not going to drink them. You want them? Well, of course, I'm going to take them. She used to make mint juleps for the Kentucky Derby. That's why she bought those. Now, she has a heavy, solid brass cap stopper. You know, it's rubber and it's to recap it. I'm going to keep that after the bottle's gone because this is really heavy. It's not plastic coated. It's awesome. I mean, I could use that for anything. So pretty. I don't know where she got it. She might have gotten it at one of those expensive bottle shops in New Orleans, like Langenstein's on Arabella Street or something like that. Put the stopper back on. I have enough for a few taste challenges left. Not too many. And this is strangely full of sediment. Now, I don't know if this stuff is chill filtered or what, but I mean, it looks like tea with all the dregs in there. You know, the chunks of tea leaves and whatever. It is full of sediment, and I mean full. So it's settled out over the years. It's hazy, it's amber, and it's full of gunk, which may turn off some people. Other people wouldn't care. They say that's the tasty bits that give it character. This one is much lighter amber, but it's not hazy. Now, what if I keep the George Dickel for, this bottle might be 8, 9, 10 years old, like the Woodford Reserve, that long. I don't think it would get any chunky sediment because it's chill filtered, and they brag about that on their website. We developed, or what do they say? We pioneered chill filtering, and it makes the whiskey so much better. It gets rid of all the impurities and everything. Now, other people in the whiskey world say that's what's the worst thing. You know, that's the worst thing, chill filtering. It takes all the sediment out. So it's two different viewpoints. And people be very dedicated to their position and angry and ridicule the other side and whatnot. And it goes on. And it's like in the beer world, you got the IPA people like the clear as a bell, orange gold IPAs, which I am in that camp. And then you got the hazy IPAs, although I find that they're more fanatical in their defense of hazy IPAs. And if you even criticize it, just say something like, for instance, I don't really care for those too much. They just sort of flip out, you know, and I've experienced that, you know, like to go crazy, like you're attacking their family or something. I'm saying it's just a style of beer. Why are you so defensive about it? You know, if you like it, drink it. I don't hate them, but I sure don't look for them. And I have a right to say what I think about it. You have a right to say what you want to think what you think about it. That's why people could start their own video channel, you know. But but it's like that in the whiskey world. You get the chill filtered fans and the non-chill filter, and it's really like a showdown. Sort of like Scotch, the blended Scotch people and the single malt Scotch people, and they just are in two dedicated factions. Although I find the blended, they tend to be a little more laid back. They're just like, yeah, I like blended Scotch, you know. And then the single malt people will jump out the chair. What? No. Oh, no. Single malt is the only way to go. And they get crazy. And I'm like, well, just drink it. It's not a religion. It's just a drink. All right. You don't have to be a missionary of single malt. You could just drink it or not drink it. Promote it or not promote it. But you don't have to proselytize it. And I'm unanimous in that. All right. I didn't pour enough Dickel. I actually poured too much Woodford Reserve. You know what I mean? Okay. Beautiful rubber stopper. I know we'll all agree that rubber is the way to go. It does look kind of funky, but some people say that the cork is not as good because it dry rots and it doesn't seal it as well. This I do not know. I am not a scientist, nor do I play one on TV. But both arguments, I mean, yeah, the cork looks nicer. That's really just an aesthetic thing. But some people claim that the rubber stopper is better. I got a lot of twist cap whiskey, so neither argument would be in play there. Okay, Woodford Reserve, what do they say? Oh, you know what they're going to say on their own website. They're going to talk about how fabulous it is, right? You ever read a website talking about, yeah, our whiskey's okay, you know, or something like the beer's tolerable. You don't see that. Clean, brilliant honey amber. Clean? Not clean. But then maybe a fresh bottle is. Heavy with rich, dry hints of mint and oranges, covered with a dusting of cocoa, faint vanilla, and tobacco spice. That's all in the nose. I'd be lucky if I could pick 2 of those up. Taste. Rich, chewy, rounded, and smooth with complex citrus, cinnamon, and cocoa. Toffee, caramel, chocolate, and spice notes abound. The finish is silky smooth, almost creamy at first, with a long, warm, satisfying tail. And you get all of that for a low $28 a bottle. The Dixie Baseman says, my friends and I had the Woodford Reserve at Thanksgiving last year, and we really enjoyed it. I've never had the Dickel 12, but I lean towards Woodford over several George Dickel blends I've tried. Now, when he says blends, he doesn't mean blended whiskey a la American blended whiskey. He means they blend the different barrels to get that. Yeah, you understand. So George Dickel is 84% corn. I'm going to go eat some cone bread. I hear people say that, cone bread. And it's 8% rye whiskey, and it's 8% malt whiskey. The Woodford, I do not know. Let's see what George Dickel says. Our 90 proof Tennessee whiskey, that's a sentence, but it's really a fragment, but a period. They should say, this is our 90 proof, but anyway. We blend older whiskeys. See what he said? Blend. We blend older whiskeys to achieve deep, assertive flavors with an incredibly smooth finish. Bold and brazen. This is our superior number 12. Concentrated flavors of rich oak and subtle vanilla lead to a long finish with hints of maple butter and smoke. A whiskey with enormous depth, range, and personality, considered by many to be the gold standard of Tennessee whiskey, and considered by others not to be the gold standard of Tennessee whiskey, but they didn't say everyone, they said many. Okay. You say, well, what are you going to do next? What's going to be the next taste challenge? Well, I already know what it's going to be. It's going to be George Dickel 12 versus Virginia Black. You say Virginia Black. Not that stuff from Drake, the Canadian singer. Yes, it is Virginia Black. And I love how the label says this whiskey is not made in Virginia. And the headquarters is in Los Angeles, California. Well, then why not call it Indiana Black? Because that's where it's crafted, Indiana. And you know who's crafting it, because if it's from Indiana, 99 out of 100 times it's from where? Midwest Grain Products of Lawrenceburg, Indiana, the old Seagram's distillery, which is one, maybe perhaps the biggest distillery in the world. This I do not know, but I think it could be. All right. Hear sirens say a little prayer because get some bad wrecks around here, man. All right. With 2 major cross-country highway junctions. Not 1, 2. From east coast to west and east coast to west. Well, the other highway is from Mexico to runs from the Mexican border to Florida. The other one runs from Santa Monica, California to Jacksonville, Florida. They both start in Jacksonville, Florida. And then the other ones run from here up to Chicago or to Michigan, the Michigan border, at that little creek or river. They say it's a river, look like a creek to me. All right. So we got 2 big north-south highways and 2 big east-west highways, and people do not know how to merge or turn onto a highway. But why would they? They're looking at their phone. I mean, you expect people to look at the road when they're driving. This is 2020, okay? People got Twitter to look at. They got TikTok videos to watch. How you going to drive? How you expect people to look at the road? Oh, these do not smell the same. Okay. All right. Well, over here, I'm kind of getting that Flintstone vitamin thing that I got with the Dickel 12, but I want to be careful because sometimes when you do one against the other, it'll be different when you do one against the other. Charred oak. Deep, rich, charred oak, charred oak, charred oak. Now, they don't put that description on their website, do they? They don't say the aroma is oak, charred oak, deep, charred oak. You say no, because that's just repetitive. You're right. And they give a big flowery description of all these attributes. But is that what I get? No. I'll just get the charred oak and a musty old furniture, which will be coming from the charred oak, like some old house that's been locked up for years, you know, covered with cobwebs and dust. And that makes me think it's the Woodford Reserve because of all the sediment in there. And beyond that, I remember it being like that before. And thirdly, I think that's third, it's got that sour mash thing going. But then, of course, Dickel sour mash too. But I don't know. It's just something about Brown-Forman whiskeys taste a lot like one to the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you get Jack Daniels, if you get Woodford Reserve, if you get this other one and this other one, they do seem to have a house style. Jim Beam seemed to have a house style. All of it, even Old Crow. People claim Old Crow is a 3-year-old Jim Beam. I wouldn't be shocked. Oh, yeah. How many whiskeys have you had that smell like Flintstone vitamins? I've had exactly one. It's the Dickel 12. So it's the Dickel 12. And I have not put myself in a pickle with this Dickel because I know what it is. So I'm going to look and it's going to say, well, I don't even have to look at the label because one's going to be cloudy and one's going to be clear. Ha, ha, ha. If you can do it, it ain't bragging. That's what one of those old sports stars said. If you can, who was it? A pitcher, right? A pitcher in the major league said, if you can do it, it ain't bragging. Okay. Good morning, Ron. I had some Woodford last night, says Johnny Tactical. Whoa. I really like their double oak. Oh, me too. I should have bought some. My friend David got it for super low at Savannah discount, half price. He went buck wild when he saw it for $15.99 for a half-size bottle. But it's very expensive, you see. So he got a bottle for $31.98. You ain't gonna find a bottle for $31.98. Okay. Perhaps a celebrity whiskey taste challenge is in order to Proper 12 versus Virginia Black. Proper 12 versus, oh, I see what you're saying, because they're celebrity creations. The fighter and the singer. Well, I haven't bought Proper 12 yet, but it's on my to buy list. That's also made by Bellhaven, Bushmills. Proper 12 is made at Bushmills. I didn't say it's owned by Bushmills, say it's made by Bushmills. It's not like that fighter has his own distillery, you know. Drake does not have his own distillery. The next Irish whiskey I have coming up is guess. Anybody want to guess? I'll give you 1 minute to guess what's coming up. And if you get it right, we'll play patty cake. I bought a bottle of Jameson Caskmates Stout Edition last night. Can't wait to try it, says Johnny Tactical. Oh, yeah. I tried that at my daughter's house a few years ago. I really liked it. But, it was only just a sample, a taste. So you don't really get a good experience. I like to buy a bottle and sit on it, drink on it, think on it, and do all that, you see. Now let's taste. So does George Dickel 12 look like Woodford Reserve? No. Do they smell similar? Nope. No way, Jose. Do they taste the same? Nope. Lots of sweet whiskey saturated wood. That's what this tastes like. It's like wood that is entirely saturated with whiskey. You see wood that's wet and it's because it's been raining and raining and raining, and the wood is saturated with water. Well, in this case, it's saturated with sour mash Tennessee whiskey aged 7 to 9 years at 90 proof, or bottled at 90 proof. Chill filtered, mellowed in charcoal, not dripped through charcoal like Jack Daniels, but they let it sit in a big vat full of charcoal. They just let it sit in there. And then somehow they drain it out and it filters it or something. You see, it adds to it. So I like it. Now, George Dickel was a company that was struggling. They had been around since 1870. All they did was make cheap whiskey called Cascade whiskey. I mean, people drank it, but it wasn't well regarded. It was a budget brand, you understand? And then they decided to kind of revitalize and try to step up in the world. So they came out with their 12 and their number 8 back in 1964. But they still struggled, like they weren't really popular. And then Diageo bought them out some years ago. And Diageo had the money to make it happen. So all of a sudden, you notice George Dickel started becoming a big player in the game. They weren't some has-been or never been. They really weren't, couldn't be a has-been because they never were big anyway. But so once Diageo put the money where it counted, then Dickel has become a very prominent brand, you see. Jameson Black Barrel, yep. So nobody guessed what Irish whiskey I bought. Well, it was Paddy's. See, I dropped a hint. I said if you guess correctly, we'll play Patty Cake. Paddy's. Been around a long time. Been called Paddy since 1911, but it's actually been around longer than that. They just nicknamed it Paddy's after the guy who had started it. Woo! Toot toot. Man, Brown-Forman is something else. They love oak and they love charred oak. I thought Dickel loved charred oak. Nope, they do. But Brown-Forman really loves it. So they love it and they really love it. Holy smokes. Now, if you don't like heavily charred oak and old furniture and old wood and dusty, old musty, fusty, dusty, what they call that, oh, you're going to hate Woodford Reserve. I mean, hate it with a purple passion. You're going to hate it. You're just going to be so full of hatred and hate. You're going to be full of a hating hatred that hates. But then if you like wood, you might like it. You probably will like it. I like it, but it's something a little strange with it. See all that sediment? It's giving a kind of a funny flavor at the finish. Like it finishes like it's got aspirin in it. Or, yeah, you know how when you take an aspirin, like some of that, it'll flake off, like the powder part will get on your tongue and it's real bitter. And you want to hurry up and swallow it with water or Coke or whatever. And I ain't talking about no baby aspirin. I'm talking about regular old aspirin. This one has that. So you say whiskey can't go rancid. Well, I don't know if whiskey can go rancid, but it went something. Yeah. I don't know. That when I saw all that sediment, I started thinking something ain't right. I mean, look at it. You can't see it, but I'm looking at chunks. There are not so small chunks either. I'm talking about, maybe it's showing up on this. I'm talking about pretty big brown chunks. It's like somebody took, Well, I was thinking, wait a minute, maybe it's pieces of cork that fell in there, and she just capped it with this rubber stopper. And maybe the cork wasn't apparent earlier because you had a bigger bottle, and now it's all concentrated at the bottom. This I don't know, but I'm telling you, there's something weird about this product, and I don't know if it's proper. But they got people doing videos talking about Woodford Reserve is not that great. I never thought it was that great. I liked it. I never loved it. To me, it was kind of bland. But like that Willet. But I only had a little tiny sample bottle my daughter bought me. But I didn't see it was too much to that. Anyway, now that Willetized Lagunitas was good. I think that George Dickel is winning this thing. It's kind of like Monday Night Football. You thought the Saints and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that's going to be a showdown. But it ended up being 38-3. It was a beatdown more than a showdown. And that's what this is turning out to be. It's not that close. And George Dickel is $4 cheaper, but it's tasting $4 better, so to speak. It's like it got flipped, like an 8-point flip. It was $4 down, and now it's $4 up. It's got a nicer, milder flavor, and it's just a tastier flavor. And you get the bread dough and the sourdough, because, you know, sour mash tastes like sourdough, and a little sweetness, and some honey even, and vanilla, and a dried fruit cake fruit and all that. So I think... Now, the sip starts strong. It starts so good because you got that super heavy charred oak, but the finish is not right. It's an undertaste. I don't know what that is. Tannins or something, like tannins. That makes sense, and that's what's like tea leaves. You know, the tea dregs will be very bitter, like tea, bitter like tea. I don't mean bitter like IPAs, India Pale Ales, be a joyful bitterness. This is like a woeful bitterness, woeful. I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I'm telling you, I think Dickel is winning, and it's not even that close. So what do we learn? They're about $4 difference in price. Secondly, I could tell them apart on aroma only. 3 in a row now, or 4 in a row. Taste challenger. And it's going to be 5 in a row because there ain't no way I'm going to confuse Virginia Blackwood Dickel. That's not going to happen. Thirdly, I think the Woodford Reserve I think the George Dickel 12 has a nicer flavor. It's just to me, if you say, what would you rather drink? George Dickel 12 or Woodford Reserve? I would tell you I'd rather drink George Dickel 12. And I got the bottle for $12.50 at Walmart on a closeout. So I paid $12.50 for this, and it's normally $23. Was I happy? You know I was happy. I didn't pay for the Woodford Reserve at all because you gave it to me, and I was really happy. No. Dixie Baseman said, damn, missed the pun. You got to call it as you see it, says Caleb, Jeep, and Foodie. That's right. I'm going to continue to call it as I see it. I don't have a horse in the race. Some people do not understand this. Some viewers. They'll say, you're picking on that style or you're picking on that beer. I'm not picking on anything. I do not have a horse in the race. Why is that hard to understand? I do not have a favorite. I do not take sides. I do not care. I will call it as I see it, okay? I don't know why that's hard to grasp. But I think the people making the criticisms know that. They know it. They're just trying to make criticisms. Is it okay to make criticisms? I don't see why it isn't. You may as well. Now, but if you're going to harp on it, then I'm going to say, well, who are you? You know, you're hiding behind an alias and your name is Cartoon Mouse, you know, and you have no content on your channel. I probably won't really answer you too much more because you could come on here and make your own statement live with your real name and your real face. Greatest bargain on the internet. Remember that. This channel has the best bargain on the internet. You get 30 minutes uninterrupted with your own face and real name. But that's a game. It's a game. All right. So Woodford Reserve, you start off strong, but you end weak. You say, you mean like the Buffalo Bills? Yeah, kind of like that. Oh, but am I wrong? All right. So later today, I believe it's going to be later today, not tomorrow. Later today, because tomorrow's Wild Card Wednesday and it's too much time. I don't have enough time to bunch it all up. So later today, whether morning or afternoon, I haven't decided yet. It's going to be Dickel 12 versus Virginia Black. Here's my prediction. Or here's two guarantees. Guarantee they will not look the same. Virginia Black is darker. I think it's colored. You say, you're saying that because it's Drake. No, I mean, it's colored. They add color to it, okay? Secondly, they're not going to smell the same, and they ain't going to taste the same. There's no way. There will be no challenge as far as the traditional blind taste test and all. There's not going to be a challenge, okay? The question on that, in that area is the Virginia Black going to taste better because it is $32.99 a bottle. Now, I saw that. Total Wine doesn't have it. Probably wasn't selling. They don't have it. Mathern still has it. Not that anybody's bought any for the last year, 4 years. But $32.99 compared to $22.99. So we're talking about $10 difference. Is the Virginia Black going to be $10 better? No way. I'm telling you right now, you can save time, don't even watch the video. No way it's going to be better. I mean, it might be better, like $1 better, 50 cents better, but ain't no way it's going to be $10 better. So by virtue of that, it's going to lose. I'm telling you already, Virginia Black will lose. They will lose. It's like, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, and I'm going to say this very frankly, and if it offends you, I'm sorry. I'm not here to offend people. But Virginia Black has as much chance of beating George Dickel 12 as Buster Douglas had of beating Mike Tyson. That's how much chance it's got. And we know how that turned out. So, no. You mean like Drake adds auto-tune? I don't know about Drake and auto-tune. Give me Ernie Ford over these younger singers any day. I was listening to Kiss this morning, and I was so depressed because I was listening to Beth, and I was thinking, wow, they went from that raw New York sound, raw rock and roll sound. I'm not saying it's the best sound or it was refined, but it was just like rock and roll all night and party every day. And then it went to Beth, I Hear You Calling, and I was thinking, wow, it's amazing how these producers and these Svengalis could get control of them and turn it into this LA sound. You know what I'm saying? So they went from sounding like Kiss to sounding like Pablo Cruz. So, and that's an interesting story, but that's not a time. This is not the time for that story. All right. So that's it for this taste challenge. And that's it. That's it. That's all I got to say.